Hello, learners. I'm Roneeta Purkayastha, Assistant Professor, Department of Computer Science and Engineering, SOET, Adamas University. So, I welcome you to the session of variables and operators in Python. So, let me take you through the roadmap of our session. So we will be starting off with the Python's print function. We will be looking at some of the basic preliminary code, how to run Python code, where to write Python code, and how will you execute the code to see the output. Then we will look at the print function, how to pass parameters to the print function, and we will be looking at the definition of Python script, how to write a Python script, store code, and execute the particular code. And then next we will take you through the concept of errors. What are the errors? What are the possible type of errors you will be encountering while running or executing a Python program? And for all this type of practical, you need to know what is a variable in Python and a little bit of the assignment operator and the variable naming convention. And at last, I will share you some references, right? So let us start off. So to display any message or to display any type of data, we generally use the print function in Python. So we know that in C++ or C, you need to include the library or the package that you are using. Like in C, you have to hash include stdio.h this line. This line is the first line that you have to write in a C program, and then you have to define the main function and write printf the inside the parentheses you have to pass the message. In C++ also you have to include the library which is the using namespace std, and then you have to create a class and then call the cout to get a particular message, to display particular message. But this is not the case in Python because it is quite simple to call the print function. You can just directly write print function, pass on some parameters to the print function inside the parenthesis, and execute it, and your job is done. You will be able to see the particular uh, message, right? So this is very simple in Python. Already we have discussed that it's a very easy to learn, easy to code, and generous code readability. So that is why it is the first choice of the beginners in the area of programming who want to learn programming. They generally go for the Python programming. Now next is how to um, write this Python code. Where you will you write the Python code and how will you execute it? Okay. So for this you need to open the Python ideally, and you have to give the following command. Okay. So you have to give the following command. Let me break up this command and tell you what are the things. So it is just the Python command in which you are supplying the ideally lib. Basically, this will open the ideally the editor, and then you have to pass on the argument of the file name or the script name, script to edit. That means, like if you name it as test.py, py is the extension of the file name. So you can put any name to your file, and in that file, all your instructions written in Python will be saved. So why are we using the script to write the Python code? Because this can be later on referenced for use. Okay. So it is just an interactive window which will open and you can issue the commands. Now let us see. So for this, you can just open the prompt and please see that Python is installed into your machine, right? So Python should be installed into your machine. You just download Python and install it into your machine and just open the prompt. I'm just showing it. So this is the prompt I'm going to open. I hope you can see the prompt screen. So here I will just give in the command Python -m idle lib and give it a file name. So c.py. C.py is basically the file into which the various commands or programs will be the instructions written in Python will be saved and you can just execute that. Okay. So this is my command python -m ideally lib c.py and I'm now going to press enter. After I press enter, this particular screen will open into your uh, desktop or PC that you are using. Okay. So let us write some print statement. I'm just writing it. Print. We can give in just any command and you can just save it. Okay. So it's so simple. Just issue in the print command and your job is done. And next you have to execute it. So you can just go to run tab and you can run module. This option you can use or you can directly press F5. This will execute your code. Okay. So let us see. This will open the Python shell. Ideally shell. So now you can see onto your screen that welcome to Python world has been displayed, right? We have successfully displayed our first message implemented in Python. If you want to change it, you can change and just see whether it is running fine or not. So see the next message, it is also showing. Welcome to India. So we have successfully displayed the first message. So what was that double quoted thing that we wrote inside the parenthesis? It was the argument which was passed on to the print function, right? So it has to be within the double quotes, quotation marks, so that Python may interpret it as a text, right? So it will just print that section which you have written inside the parenthesis. Now, why are we using the concept of this c.py, which was the script? Okay, so after executing the particular script, the ideally shell was open. So that was an interactive window. I'm talking about this window. So this was the interactive window. Here also you can give some commands and it will just show the message. and press enter. After writing this, press enter, so it also shows the message. But why are we not using this approach? Because we want to store our program, store the instructions into a file so that later on we can use it, right? So this is just an interactive shell, ideally shell. This is an interactive shell and you can use it frequently to run your command, to run the instructions. Okay, so this ideally shell is actually useful for trying out small code examples. Okay, but the one major drawback that this Python script has, that it has to be, the code has to be entered only one line at a time, which is very problematic because you may have some complex task in hand to solve. In that case, this won't work. In that case, you would need the concept of a Python script. So the alternative way to store your Python code in a text file is to use the python-m ideally lib command. Okay, so that will generate a new file with the with whatever name you have given into the Python command, and this will be stored. Okay, so it makes it very easier to run your program, and also in future people can refer to your code and they can use it for building and extending the application. Now, as a beginner, you may face some errors in your program. You may encounter some type of errors into your program. Now, what is the meaning of an error, and what are the different types of error that people developers generally face? Okay, so error means it is any anomaly or any defect into your coding that prevents the display of the output, right? So this is an error, this is a bug into your Python program. So what are the different types of errors that you may encounter, right? So as a beginner, you should not be intimidated by the occurrence of error, right? So you should practice more and more practice so that these errors can be minimized. So the first type of error is the syntax error that we will discuss and demonstrate, right? So syntax error. So what is a syntax error? Any type of mm, spelling mistake, any type of punctuation mark which is missing, that means any type of problem in your syntax. Syntax is generally basically it is mm, the structure of your code, the style of writing your code which you're using, that is referred to as syntax. Okay, so any error that has occurred in the syntax will produce a syntax error. So we will just demonstrate this. So if any syntax error happens into a Python program, then your code will not run and you will not see the output. In that case, you have to correct it, and for that you should have the proper knowledge of the particular programming language, right? So let us see, right? So this was the Python script just now we have created, c.py. So this is a print command, instruction written. So if someone writes like this, the problem is that the double quote is not closed here. The quotation marks are not closed here. Okay. So this is a syntax error. So if you run this type of code, then what will happen? So I will just execute and you can see that it is showing the message syntax error. So until and unless you correct it, you will not be able to execute it. Okay, it is also showing the message. So proper help is also given by this Python interpreter, Python ideally, that it is a case of syntax error and the end of line reached without the string. It's a string, right? String means any collection of characters is known as a string. So here we are using the data type of string. It should be like this. It should be enclosed within the quotation marks. Then only it will be interpreted as a string and it will print the output. So let us run it. So you can see now, welcome to India is printed successfully, right? So the message that we got, that was an alert box, right? That was just an alert box which was showing the type of error and also the description of the error. Now, next type of error, the second type of error that may happen is the runtime error. So what are these runtime errors? Runtime errors are those kind of errors which can't be caught until a program is executed. So you can catch this type of runtime errors only during the execution time of your program, right? So they occur only at the time when the program is run. So what can be the example of runtime error? So if you write the instruction of print hello world without any quotation marks, then it just interprets, it doesn't interpret it as a string, but rather as a variable. So we will see what is meant by variable here. Okay, so let us demonstrate this first. So I will just remove this quotation mark and execute. So still there is a problem. You can see it is showing the invalid syntax, right? So this type of error can come into your system, into your program. If you correct it, then it's fine. It will run successfully. So it is showing the output now successfully. This is another type of error, and I will show you one function using which you can I will show you another variation of using the print function. For that, you need to have the idea of the concept of variables, right? So here I have mentioned one line a equals to 10. What does it mean? So 10 is the value stored into the memory location which is referenced by the name a. So we can call a as the variable name. So what is a variable? It just stores any kind of value of any data type. So here you will be surprised to know that we don't need to mention the type of value which we are storing. Like 10 is an integer, we know it's a whole number. It's a numeric value, integer data type, but we do not need to prefix the variable name with the data type, unlike C, C++, Java. That is why Python is known as a dynamic typed language because as and when we use the values, the interpreter recognizes it and interprets it as the particular data type. So we do not need to prefix it, it's dynamic in nature. Okay. So if you want to view what is the type of value which is being stored into the variable a, then you can use a function known as type. You can use a function known as type. So let me show you. just pass on this type function into the print function like this. Then execute it. So you can easily see that is showing class int. Now what is int? Int is integer. So it's an integral value. So we have used the type function to display the data type of the particular variable that we are using. Okay. I hope it is clear to all of you. Now, why are we using the variable concept in Python? I just demonstrated the concept of variable. We will see why do we need to use regularly the concept of variable. This is due to mainly due to two reasons. The first reason is that if you have to access the values which are stored in memory and you have to access them frequently, you can use the concept of variable. Just call the variable name, just call the variable name into your Python program and your job is done. Okay, so we can say variables keep values accessible. Variables keep values accessible. And the next reason is variables gives values context. So while naming a variable, you should follow some conventions and also give a meaningful name to the variable. Okay, so if you write a is equal to 28, like I have written in the particular program, you can see it like this. A is equal to 10, right? So it is not giving a proper meaning to the particular variable name. So in that case, if I write suppose number of digits and I just change the variable name to number of digits. This is more meaningful. Number of digits is 10, 0 to 9. Like this, I should give one meaningful name to the variable. So you can see again it's a integer, right? So these are some of the reasons why should we be using variables frequently into our Python program so that it can be referenced later on and used regularly within the Python program. Okay. Now, what is this assignment operator? We have already used this in our previous program in the demonstration that we can use the assignment operator, right? So, what is this assignment operator? And what is an operator? Operator means these are certain symbols which we are using to perform some kind of operation over the operands. Okay, so we have different type of operators like mathematical operators, logical operators, relational operators. Right. So these are just used to perform some kind of operation. Here in this particular program, we have used the assignment operator. We are assigning values to variables using the special symbol of equal to. So phrase is equal to hello world print phrase. That means we are storing the message hello world into the variable phrase and we are just displaying it. So in our demonstration also we have used the particular variable name number of digits and stored the value 10 into it by using the assignment operator, so that 10 is contained within the or stored within the location named as number of digit, and we have successfully printed it, right? I hope the concept of assignment operator is clear to all of you. Now next is that variable names are case sensitive, right? So case sensitive means lowercase, uppercase, whatever case you are using in declaring the variable name, that same name should be used in each and every place that you are referencing the variable name. Like in the example given into the slide, you can see phrase is equal to hello world. So all the letters are in lowercase in the name of the variable. Whereas in the print instruction, they have written P capital phrase. That will give an error. Okay, because this is case sensitive in nature and it will generate a name error. So this is another type of error, another class or category of error in Python, which is raised when the case is not matching with the variable name. So let us see this. Suppose you have number of digits is equal to 10. Just modify this code, and here I just write in capital. Whereas in the print I am using in small. So what will be the case here? Let me execute. So you can see a red message is thrown into the ideally shell known as the name error. So number of digits is not defined. So it is not able to reference to the particular variable name where the case is not matching, right? So I have also told you what are the different conventions that you should follow while naming a variable. So you have seen that in my demonstration I've used the underscore special symbol. So that is the only special symbol that your variable name can contain. Okay, apart from the letter A to Z, small letter, capital letter, you can use digits, you can use, but digits cannot be used in the beginning of a variable name. Please keep in mind. And the only special symbol that can be used in the variable name is the underscore. So I have given some variable names to you, and you can easily make out which are the valid variable names and which are not the valid variable names. Okay. So here the first four of them are all valid variable names. The last one is not. Can you guess why the last one is not a valid variable name? Because it is starting with a, you can easily see it is starting with a digit. That is why it is not valid. So these are certain rules you should follow while naming variables. And variable names should be a descriptive one, should be as meaningful as possible. So you can use multiple words to name a variable separated by underscore, right? So in the example, if you're using like given in the slide, is equal to 3600. It is not giving any meaningful interpretation, whereas means it is totally ambiguous. It is not giving any fixed meaning. So if you write seconds is equal to 3600, that's a more meaningful name, but the best name would have been the seconds per hour is equal to 3600. So you can see that the variable name is separated by some underscore, which is the only allowed special symbol into a variable name, right? So these are some of the references which I have used into our presentation, and let us conclude our presentation. So we have seen in the beginning how to use the print command, how to pass arguments to the print command, and we have seen how to open ideally, Python ideally, and write Python scripts, small Python scripts, and run them, execute them. The concept of error, what's an error, what are the different classes of errors, and how to resolve them, like syntax error, runtime error, name error. Then we show saw the concept of variables. What is a variable? Why are they used? How to name a variable? And then we have seen the various variable naming conventions, right? What are the allowed or permissible characters, letters, or symbols which can be used in a variable name? Okay. So with this, I conclude my session. Thank you for your participation. In any case, if you have any doubt, you can mail it to the given mail ID. Okay. Thank you all.